Welcome back, everybody. Two things. We have a modified program. Larry W07R is going to go over some stuff on the CQ marathon thing. And the second thing is, I was talking to Mike W7QS during the break. He will also have a booth set up at the DeVry Ham Fest for going over Northern California or Northern Arizona stuff and their Ham Fest. So, or their the Flagstaff Ham Fest. So those are the two things to play catch up on there. Then we're going to do old business now, which is going to consist of the constitutional amendment. We're going to do the constitutional amendment, and we're also going to go over the picnic. So the slide that's up, this is kind of an overview of what we went through and where we're at. And I just want to read it to make sure that the members who were not here last time or have not heard this, hear it. And for the ones who have heard it, it's a review. The CADXA Constitution requires amendment to enable IRS consideration for the 501c7 status. And that's an IRS status that applies to social clubs, which we are, that have less than $50,000 in donations per year, which we qualify for. The proposed wording to amend the Constitution was proposed at last month's meeting on March the 2nd. And the specific items that we need to add for the IRS are a non-discrimination wording and also a club dissolution wording. So those are included. At the meeting last month, go back. At the meeting last month, a motion was made to amend the Constitution wording as presented. It was seconded and a discussion followed. The current Constitution states that the proposed amendment shall be voted on at the following regular membership meeting, which is today. I want to start with two things. One, additional discussion is going to be held here with the members in person. I want to have additional discussion specifically from the Zoom members if they have anything they want to ask about or talk about. So that way we can make sure that we get everybody that's present and the Zoom attendees taken care of. So we're going to do that. Next slide. To address the non-discrimination clause, the wording in red towards the bottom is what Lee, KY7M, came up with from a variety of sources that satisfies IRS rules, regulations, et cetera, et cetera. So Article 2 will be, presuming it's passed and the Constitution is amended, Article 2 under membership will continue to say Section 1, membership is open to any licensed amateur radio operator interested in working DX. The new wording in red will read, membership may not be denied because of race, creed, color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, political affiliation, marital status, or any other reason that would be biased or prejudicial. Next slide. The second change, we need to have a new Article 8. The new article is in red, and this deals with club dissolution. In the event the board of directors votes that the club should be dissolved, the motion for dissolution must receive a 2/3 vote of the members present at the following regular membership meeting after that board of directors vote. After that board of directors vote is not included in the wording. That's a comment by me. Section 2 specifies how the club's assets will be distributed. Section 2, upon dissolution of the club's assets shall be distributed as follows. The board of directors shall handle the distribution of all assets of the club. No member or group of members shall receive benefits from the assets. All equipment owned by a member shall be returned to that member. All unclaimed equipment will be sold and net proceeds donated to a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All remaining cash will be donated to a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So that's the new wording for the dissolution of the club. Next slide, please. Article 9, or the current Article 8 amendments, which in theory will be changed, will become a new Article 9, which is retitled below. The new title will be Article 9 Amendments. What will not change is the current wording will be Section 1. The Constitution and bylaws may be amended by a 2/3 vote of the members present at a regular meeting. Proposals for amendments offered by the Board of Directors or any member shall be submitted at a regular membership meeting and shall be voted on at the following regular membership meeting. And where it says, the bottom line where it says be voted on that should be voted on at the following regular membership meeting. The motion and the second included the word at in that. That was pointed out and that was changed and that was specifically included in the motion and the second. So, according to our current constitution, we have to have we shall have a vote tonight of the members present in order for the motion and the second to pass and for the constitution to be changed. 2/3 of the members present in this room and on Zoom, not individually, but collectively, a 2/3 vote will pass these and will amend the Constitution. One of the questions was asked, are we doing 3 amendments or are we doing 1? The answer is we are doing all of this as 1 amendment because all 3 parts are required. So that's kind of where we are at this particular moment. Let me get to the page, go down on 2 more, if you would. There, 1 more. Okay, I made a checklist so I don't miss anything. Of the in-person members, we have 17 members here. We have 1 guest. In-person members, are there any additional discussions? Yes, Patrick. No, Lee and the board, there was a ton of discussion that went on with this. And by going with an unspecified 501c3, that allows a broad range of options. To the best of my knowledge, this is fine with the IRS. Okay. And Walt's been going down separate roads with the Thunderbird group. So this is what we came up with after about 6 weeks worth of. No, and I appreciate your question. I appreciate anybody's question. So any additional discussion from in-person members? Virgil, can we go to the Zoom folks? So we can see them? I'm on Zoom. It's awesome. Okay. We can be patient. It is not a problem. Okay. And first question is, can all of the Zoom members hear me? I just need somebody to respond if we could.
Yes.
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 There we go. Okay. So from the members on Zoom, and I show there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we have a Paul with no call sign. So we have 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Who do I not have? Okay. 3, 6, 9, 11. I'm missing somebody. Okay, so we've got Jim, we got Mike Casey 7V. Oh, I'm number 12. Never mind. My bad. Can't count. Okay, so the 11 Zoom members present. Any discussion about the motion and the second and the amendment wording?
Yes.
Okay, Steve?
I would propose that the word may on the first item be revised to the word shall.
Let me get back to that. And then I need somebody with more experience on this than I have to do we have to So that's Article 2 membership, the non-discrimination part.
Correct.
I don't recall there being a specific discussion on that specific word. Larry, if you could throw in some foresight here, or somebody, if that was to be considered as a change, do we need to, and he proposes that we change may to shall.
I don't know if the process permits amendment.
Is it that critical of a point, changing that word right this minute? We could revisit it.
I would recommend that. I'm not disparaging what Steve suggested. What I suggest is that he contacts KY7M. Who's frankly, our legal eagle, and, did a lot of the work to make this come up. And if that's really important, you're right, we can go through this again, but the amendment process is cumbersome and meant to be cumbersome. It's meant to be a little difficult. And I'm gonna look at it, but I'm not sure that the process permits us to amend it from the floor. The way I read the amendment, it would not. If you look at Article 8, Section 1, which I do not believe we're changing tonight, it says the Constitution and bylaws may be amended by a 2/3 vote of members present at a regular meeting. It shall be submitted at a regular membership meeting and shall be voted on at the next following regular membership meeting. There's absolutely no discussion or allowance for amendment. So tonight we have to vote this up and down as it stands. But I'm not going to say that Steve has a wrong idea. I'm just simply saying that mechanically, I don't think we can entertain it tonight.
Can you bring the Zoom attendees back up?
Does that make sense to you, Steve?
It does, but there is a difference between the word may and the
Oh,
word
I'm not arguing with that. I'm not even approximately a lawyer, but I understand that can be very, very significant. But what I would suggest you do is interact with Lee and the board and find out why the word was as it was. And if it must be changed or needs to be changed, then let's do that at a future meeting.
No argument, just a suggestion, well, more than a suggestion,
Yeah.
as I am involved with contract law in other industries.
Yeah, okay. Like I say, I'm not going to dispute your expertise here. I'm just pointing out what the mechanics are here.
Sure. Understood.
Okay, Steve, are you comfortable with one? Yes, there's a difference between shall and may, no question. Are you comfortable with voting on the amendments as it's written and then revisiting that either as a follow-up?
Yes, as long as it can be revisited.
Okay,
Agreed.
okay, hang on. Okay, what Mike in 7MW has suggested is that we vote on the wording as it is currently, and then we have a second motion to amend the word may to the word shall. Does that work?
The way I just read the Constitution, yes. I mean, that's not usual, but that is what the Constitution provides for. This is a regular meeting, and this is the second meeting for the current amendment, but we could also make it the first meeting for the revised amendment, and that would enable it to be taken up next month.
Okay, so we, in theory, adopt what's written here and then introduce a new motion to change the word may to shall, and that would get voted on at the next meeting in May.
Yeah, I believe that's in concert with what the Constitution requires under Article 8, Section 1.
Okay. Yeah, Walt.
So who's making the motion? We need somebody to make the motion. Then we need a motion and a second, right?
We need to vote on it first, I think.
Well, I think as a matter of order, Bob is right. We should probably vote on the amendment as it stands and then discuss the amendment.
I mean, am I able to bring it up?
Well,
hear me?
the question is, Steve, do we have to vote on the amendment
All right.
first? It's a point
The
of order.
the question that I'm going to bring up is the IRA regulations specifically word this, have it wordsmith. So I don't want to, I wouldn't want to change it to violate the IRS regulations.
Would it be acceptable to vote on it the way it's written and presented on the screen? And then if we need to change it, have a second motion to
Well,
change it?
I have another question on that. What do the bylaws, how many times a year do the bylaws allow you to amend the bylaws?
I don't believe it's specified.
There's no
Because a
limit.
lot of them always specify you change the bylaws, you got to wait another year before you can change them. And
No,
I don't know your bylaws. I've never read them.
Well, this isn't a bylaw. This is the Constitution. And the only thing it talks about is Article 8, and there's no limit given
Okay.
there. So bylaws aren't relevant tonight.
But knowing that there's regulations, I would be concerned of changing the word and then have them kick it back at us.
Well, that's something we can discuss after we vote on this, and then also discuss it next month after Lee and Steve have a chance to put their lawyerly heads together and decide what's right. I mean, right now, for me, from a layman point of view, I've got lawyer versus lawyers.
I'm not a lawyer, I'm an engineer, so
Oh, okay.
I should have been a lawyer, as they say.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't want to hold it up, but there is a difference in the wording.
Yes, there is.
I would really question, let Lee make the decision.
Okay, well, what I would suggest in the interest of time is to call the question on the amendment as written, see whether that is voted up or down. And then we can discuss whether we want to start an amendment tonight or whether we want to wait for Lee and Steve and others to say grace over that word.
If we believe this came from the IRS, then we ought to just not do anything until we know there's a problem with it.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I think Lee needs to have a chance to explain how this came to be. He doesn't happen to be here tonight. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but Lee did most of the heavy lifting on this wording, right?
okay, so am I hearing that we essentially defer the vote on this?
No, I'm calling the question. Let's vote on it as it is, because it's still an improvement over what we got. And we've got several things we need to do. The members here present should know that we can't take PayPal contributions until we fix this.
Correct.
And that's a big deal. So we need to get something in place so that we can get this incorporation, get our PayPal account open, and start collecting for badges and dues and everything else that we normally do as an organization again, because that's what started all this. Is PayPal won't let us, is going to make whoever the treasurer is report all of our income as if it was his, which is crazy. We got to stop that, and that's what this is for. I mean, we got a break, we got a waiver for this year, but it's going away. So we really have a certain amount of urgency here.
So I've been searching on Google while this thing has been going on. May and shall have very different meanings, but may not. May is permissive, but may not is not. It specifically means that an action is not authorized and is prohibited, which means that may not and shall not essentially have the same meaning.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I don't want to hold this up, but I did want to bring it up.
Yeah. Again, I would like to ask the president to call the question for tonight and then have Steve and Lee and the board work on this in subsequent months. Unless somebody's got something different to bring up. I think we've done what we can as a group on this question tonight.
John, to my understanding, the wording that was used came from IRS. Therefore, it is acceptable to them. That being the case, I call the question for a vote.
I'm ready to vote.
It's your meeting, John.
Can't hear you.
Okay, where we're at, and Steve is called for the vote. So at this point, we're going to vote for the amendment as it's written. And if we need to revisit it, we will do that. We shall do that. In-person members, aye, and support.
Aye.
Aye.
Um,
As long as we can
in-person
revisit
members,
it,
no.
aye.
Aye.
in-person members, any no's? None. In-person members, anybody abstaining from the vote? None.
Abstaining.
Okay, members on Zoom. Aye.
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 Any members on Zoom with a no? Any members on Zoom abstaining?
I am abstaining.
I should
okay.
probably abstain
Who-
until it's cleared, but
K7NO.
K7NO, okay, Israel, you're abstaining?
Correct.
Okay, and who's the second call sign?
Steve.
AA3AE.
Okay. Okay. So with those results, the motion passes. The Constitution will be amended and it will get typed up and published tomorrow with a revision date of today.
And as it happens, I will, for your information, Steve, as it happens, I'm meeting with Lee personally, sort of our pre-Visalia meeting, and I'll bring this up with him.
Very good.
Okay.
This is just something that I've always found to be something that needs to be clarified.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
I have a note. We shall be looking into that. Okay, so we're good with the constitutional amendment. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your input. I appreciate everybody's work and thoughts on this. I know it's not a simple process. And so thank you for all of that. We'll get that all taken care of and we shall take a look at the wording on that. Next slide, please. Picnic. The annual picnic is back. I'm going to get a drink of water here because I've been talking and I'm dry. You can read this while I get a quick drink. Okay, the picnic's back. The regular May meeting is going to be here at the church on the first Thursday of May, which is May the 4th, at the normal 7 o'clock. The May 20th barbecue picnic, which is a Saturday, will replace the regular June meeting. So there will not be a regular June meeting in the month of June. The reason for that is based on busyness of having to put 3 events together inside of a 3 or 4 week period. And also from a cost saving standpoint, which I'm going to get into more in a minute. We are going to be inviting members of the Northern and Southern Arizona DX associations, which we have done before. We are exploring door prizes. We have sent out a number of inquiries to a couple of ham radio vendors. We've got 1 or 2 responses. One of the things that we're going to do this time that I don't think has ever happened or not very often is we're going to set up a mini special event K7 UGA station, and the operation will be at the picnic. So those who would like to operate sideband CW FT8, we're going to set up for all 3 modes as far as I know. And they can do so. If somebody does not have a license, we will have a control operator there to take care of that. Next slide. The date, the picnic will be on Saturday, May the 20th, and will replace the regular June membership meeting. The time is tentatively from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have some wiggle room on that, but that's what we're targeting at this particular moment. That's the consensus of opinion from everybody that we've talked to. Food service is going to begin at 11:30 a.m. and end at 12:30 p.m. The location is going to be Kiwanis Park in Tempe, which is located between Guadalupe and Baseline Roads and about a half-mile west of Rural Road. We have reserved a ramada, which is a huge ramada, and it's only half of the entire complex. The reservation, back to the cost savings on the room rental here, the room expense here is $110 per meeting or per month. And the permit cost, since we have John Arthur's K7WP agreed to be on the permit, so we got a 50% reduction in the cost. The cost of the permit is $150. By saving the $110 here, the permit actually only costs us $40. The food is going to be catered by Waldo's Barbecue in Mesa. The menu is on the next slide. There are vegetarian items available, and non-vegetarian items will also be available. The initial cost per guest is estimated at $15 to $20 per person after the $5 per person CADXA offset. So CADXA is going to kick money into this. The final cost is going to be will be figured out in the next week or so. We're revisiting the proposed contract with Waldo's. We can get some firm numbers on that. Tickets will be prepaid for pickup at the picnic. Since food quantities are based on the number of guests, the ticket cost will be non-refundable, because if we pay for X amount of food, it's paid for. There's not going to be any refunds. But what the board came up with and agreed with is, if for some reason somebody who bought tickets cannot attend, it is perfectly acceptable for them to give their ticket or tickets to someone else to use, as long as Mike in 7MW, the treasurer, gets an email and lets him know that you're giving your tickets to somebody. So that way the money doesn't get thrown away. Additional information is going to be provided as it's finalized. And that's going to be notifications going out to the membership. Next slide. The menu. We had a couple of options here. What we selected was pulled pork, chopped chicken, pulled beef shoulder. So we've got 3 kinds of meat: cowboy beans, coleslaw, buns for sandwiches, barbecue sauce, bottled water, regular soda, diet soda, and dessert cookies. The vegetarian options are a roasted veggie kebab with bell peppers, onions, zucchini, yellow squash, corn cob, and potato, or an Applewood smoked vegan chicken breast plus the side dishes, the cowboy beans, coleslaw, etc., listed above. So that's where the menu's at. Next slide. It's the treasurer's report. There's going to be information being sent out to all of the members to recap the picnic, time, location, et cetera, the menu with the approximate cost will be included in that. When we get the final cost from Waldo's, that will be updated. That should be within the next week or so, and we can start selling tickets soon after that. Okay, treasurer's report. Finances, short version is we have $9,600 and change in the bank. Recent expenses: meeting room, Zoom license, picnic reservation, badge fabrication is $421 and change. Recent deposits for badge dues, et cetera, was $99 and change. Upcoming transactions, meeting room rental for April, the sponsorship of the DX award plaque for the Arizona QSO party, which we sponsored last year, and shipping for one member badge, and then cost in future to be determined for the picnic. That pretty much. Okay. I think that is it, but hang on. The only thing that's left over is on the air activities by Tom NQ7R. Do we have his stuff? Okay, Tom is not on, so we're not going to have that tonight. Wait.
Yes, I'm here.
He's here. They spoke too soon, and I spoke even too sooner. Okay, Tom, you've got it.
Okay, I'm going to click the share screen here. Okay, is that coming up?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I'm finding, or I'm not finding, a lot of de-expeditions coming up, but I did pick these 2. South Cook, there's going to be a couple operators there. And Timor-Leste, there's, I believe, 3 people from what's going to be a large group next fall that's going to be on. So these are the next 2 de-expeditions for those that want to participate. Going on to the DX Challenge, again, we have some very good numbers. Steve leading the pack with his limited power, but I think what I would say is a lot of good numbers here as well. For the marathon, same thing applies. I would say we have some very, very good numbers here already, and we're only what a fourth of the way through the year. Again, for de-expeditions, Rick kind of is leading the way for us. Lee is giving him going to give him a challenge perhaps. And finally, for the 6-meter challenge, Mike KC7V is at the top of the list. And again, we have 26, 29, and 24 countries already worked on 6. And again, I just got my 6-meter antenna back and working some DX. So I want to shout out to Ray W7 USA again for his help. And I guess that would be it from here.